I'll just set the voice recorder over here so it picks you up better. Anyways. Yeah, so basically, I'm trying to do some research on how people promote their music. I remember your grandpa, you had told me about how you would try and be, as like a radio station, you would try and be one of the first people to get X, Y, and Z's new track. Or like the first people to air it and first people to make it popular. Like, what was that process like?
In the beginning stage, we have a record promoter from the company, like Warner Brothers, for example. And that person is responsible for promoting the new release, the most recent release by the company, in this case Warner Brothers. And then our station had a music director, and that director would work with the promoter from Warner Brothers. And when I say work with, I mean they would get together with like a schedule. They would determine that the record is good enough to get airtime. Well, who determines that? The music director and the Warner Brothers salesman. And they would set it up for like a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks to appear this many times. They'd pick a number. They would say they want the record to have 200 exposures over the next 5 weeks. Now that means they were busy determining what's going to be played in the future. 5-6 weeks back before that really happens. So all of a sudden the radio disc jockeys would have like a mission to fulfill, unbeknownst to all of us, not knowing that the record itself would count that many times over a period of time. And then also the radio station would have its music team of disc jockeys listen to the album or listen to the record to see what potential it had. All of a sudden, you've got disc jockeys competing up and down the West Coast, for example, to play a song as often as possible to get that timeline filled in. And then the appearances of the star or the person who's the lead voice on the album or on the record would come forward and be available for public appearances to accompany the song. So you could count on certain songs receiving certain exposure throughout that period of time that the artist is available to. So you have dual exposure for the record album itself. You had exposure through the radio station, and then in the public square, for example, you have, in our case, you have a cousin named Terry Haseman. Every time Terry comes to visit us, she lets out "It's Gabe McKay!" And that was my name on the radio.
Oh, Gabe McKay?
Gabe.
Gabe McKay.
That was my name on the radio.
This radio clan.
What clan was the radio station?
The what?
Or what was the radio station that you were with?
Radio Clan. Klan. That would not
Did it have a
fit
number?
today.
Did it have like a station number?
Yes. Fun aplenty at 1320. We were at 1320 on the dial.
1320 on the FM? Or
No, AM.
1320, nice.
And when we would play our music on Radio Clan, by all stretch of the imagination, it would be strong enough to be played for like up to 13 weeks. Quite a while for one record. Then your cousin was unique in that she's sponsored basically by listening. She sponsored the record and was credited with giving good report.
Testimony or something?
Yeah. But also, nighttime radio was big too. So, anyway, you have that going on. And then you have so many other items that fit, excuse me, that fit into that aspect of the business. You have different promotions going on. They may have a radio release for supermarkets, for example, and they may divert the song into that promotion, and it gets more play than normal because it's part of another promotion.
Like, when you say a supermarket, do you mean like a large audience, like a super audience, or do you mean like for music that would be played at a grocery supermarket?
Yes.
Grocery?
That one.
Okay. So another question would be, when promoters for the labels want to popularize their song through radio, or when they want to market their song, is the label or the marketer for the label, are they making money by getting you to play their music, or do you make money? Because like, do you have to buy the rights to it, or how does that work?
No. There in the old days, there was a big scandal in the industry, and they were basically promoting their label with cash under the table, supposedly. All that came to a head before I became a disc jockey. And so, by coming to a head and getting the industry cleaned up, we didn't have a problem that way. I don't know if that's what you were giving as an impression. But
That's interesting. I was kind of, what I was trying to get at is when marketers will market the song to the radio, does the radio have to pay for the music that it's playing?
that's done through two entities. BMI, Broadcast Music Inc., Incorporated, and the second one escapes me. There is a report prepared every year by each radio station, and they go by an average of certain numbers of plays per month. So you could say Little Jimmy Brown was played every Sunday from between 2 o'clock and 10 o'clock each Sunday. So Little Jimmy Brown got credit for that kind of exposure. It was peeled back to like a bare bones budget, and the radio station paid BMI and ASCAP. ASCAP was the other one. And they had, I'm trying to recall, probably 800 radio stations that were in the mix.
So the radio pays one of those two things you just said.
ASCAP or BMI.
And so do the promoters promote their music to ASCAP or BMI, or do they promote it to the radio station, or both?
The promoters would physically bring their record album to the station and meet with the music director. It was a hard life for them because they had to come up with these meetings all the time. And so if Elvis Presley jumped the market, and the market had to make accommodation for Elvis's new release because it was so hot and it was so available and it was being played so much up in Fresno, so we had to play it too. We couldn't get away with not playing it because we'd lose listeners if we're not playing the latest release. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, that was about on. So is there anything that a specific artist can do to get their music more popular? Or
Oh, sure, yeah, they do. They come to your area, they make public appearances, things of that nature. They cut small promos. The Smothers Brothers, because I had a connection with them, they did a Fun Aplenty at 1310, and they quibbled about what's the wrong? What do you mean 10? 1310? Isn't it 1320? And Tommy says, well, 10, 11, 12, 13. Doesn't matter. It's close enough. And they did that for us, and we didn't have to pay for their, because they knew that I would play their records anyway. So they'd get good exposure.
So artists themselves can do things to promote their name or promote their sound.
For sure.
And it's not just in the hands of like a label promoter.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know, I know contracts are very complicated, but like kind of the general idea behind signing to a label, like I imagine it's kind of like when you write a book and you want to deal with a publisher to get your book made and get your book out there, you would write your book and then sign to a publisher, and then you get royalties off it, or then get royalties off of it for a certain amount of money. Is that similar to music labels?
I'm not familiar with that in that setting.
It's all right.
You recall anything like that?
It could be something between management and them, but not necessarily between a disc jockey, unless the disc jockey is a number one disc jockey.
Okay. I figured I'd shoot my shot with that. Didn't know. But, okay. Let me just double check this is still get everything. Yep. Going strong. Okay. Let me think of
If
something.
you're going to be talking, don't you'll start chewing. Crunch, crunch.
Red wine break.
Sorry, time out. Thank you.
So you had a connection, Grandpa, with the Smothers Brothers.
Yes.
Was in high school with him.
Oh, that's cool. High school. Let's see. So, did you ever have like artists come to your radio station to visit your radio station and try and connect, maybe?
I don't know what you mean.
Like, did you ever have artists themselves, instead of just their promoter, come to your radio station to get their music played?
Yeah. Thank you. Very direct. And we did. Trying to remember, there was one artist that we built a dance. Let's see how to say this. We built a dance in the evening on Friday or Saturday for that artist to come and sing and be used for dancing. And we had like 200 to 300 of the kids come for that event. And then, if I could remember the name of the artist, it was at the same time the Righteous Brothers were big. We couldn't get them to come, but from their stable of talent, we did get another artist to come. It was recognizable. His name was popular too. Wish I could remember who that was. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so basically I had asked if artists ever come on their own to promote their music rather than just a label, and you said, yeah, it happens. And I think previously you mentioned that the Smothers Brothers had, you had mentioned the Smothers Brothers having that connection and having some promotion happen with that, but then you said that you had another artist come and you would you kind of created a dance hour or something
Yes.
like that where he would sing. And so that's kind of, or that's not more than kind of, that's just a way to kind of publicize someone. And
Yeah. And we did that with the White Levi's. White Levi's did a promotion in our area, so they gave us the material. They gave us the material to use to promote White Levi's. We held a dance promoting White Levi's. And Terry will remember that. We talked to Tom on the telephone the other day,
Her brother.
and we mentioned White Levi's. Right away, he remembered White Levi's and the advertising they did.
And so that's to promote White Levi jeans and not like a band called the White Levi's.
Correct.
Okay.
But that's a good question. It could well have been easily,
In a group.
yeah,
Yeah.
part of the everyday broadcast hour.
I think so far one of my takeaways is that publicity can kind of go farther beyond just publishing, but they also, publishers can do their own promotion for publicity as well. But publicity is also, like as an artist, you can kind of forge your own way to make yourself known and recognized and popular. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I got him on 4K. So what do you think made artists especially successful with their publicity? Like any artist? Like,
What made them do what?
especially successful with their publicity? Like, is it just having a good sound, or is it just mass promotion, or is it a combination of these things, or what makes artists and their music especially well known?
Combination.
Yeah. Previous history of that artist. They've had three or four big records over the last 5 years. Their previous history.
Maybe connections too, if for history.
Well, the connections would be like if I worked for Radio Clan, that's the Hanford, California area. Just north of there is Fresno. Fresno is a bigger population. The dream of a disc jockey would be to get noticed enough by that record album area, by the disc jockeys there, so that if a vacancy occurred in Fresno, they might look locally to replace it with someone from Hanford who has a track record of sorts. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so they could take that is like money in the bank with their history, and they're doing a good job in Hanford. Take that talent a step higher. From Fresno, it would be Sacramento. Sacramento would be a station between there and San Francisco. Then the big time is San Francisco. Or the big time would be getting a good position in a market that has a lot more population than Hanford.
I think something that my generation experiences a lot in the music industry that might not have been so common in your generation is a different type of connections, and it's like collaborations between artists. And it's especially easy to collaborate in like hip hop or rap music because you make your song and rap or whatever you want to do over 2/3 of your song. You do the chorus, you do a verse or two, and then you feature somebody else on your song. And so let's say Elvis does a song and he features on the very last verse of his song this new kid, Richie Valens. All of a sudden everyone knows about Richie Valens because Richie is on this really big record, even though Richie's only put one record out. And
Right.
so that's something that's pretty common in my generation. I guess it's not really a question, but I'm kind of just making sure I remember with
The right
the
paper.
recording. Yeah.
That's pretty much what goes on anyway in the radio industry.
Even way back then.
Sure. They're busy informing one another and getting the pipeline going. The verbiage accompanies the promotion. That's why the guy is called a promoter. He's promoting his record. He's busy down the street telling those guys what a big record it is back in Hanford. And then they're busy talking about how this record has gone big up in Fresno. And they have constant verbiage going up and down the pipeline.
And this artist will be in this town at this time, moving up to this town at this time, and to build an audience for when you get there.
So people can like learn to expect what's coming. Yeah. Cool.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of jumping up and down and shouting about it. Just been, for me, was a privilege being able to join these talented people in presenting their music. It was just a joy playing new albums, new records.
He loves records.
What were some of your favorite records or artists that you got to play or promote?
Well, there was a song that was done by the Fleetwoods, and you think about it, it's like dum 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 doo dum doo dum 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 doo dum doo dum 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 dum.
And then he's come in singing.
What's that one called?
Fleetwood Mac. I got the artist.
No,
What's the name?
it's the Fleetwoods.
Fleetwoods.
Yeah. And Come Softly to Me
I'm sorry.
is the album. You could look it up in your thing.
Yeah. Not while I'm recording, but yeah.
That was a good one. That was in my thought, it led the pack overall for a long time. Then you had the roll right in and take over the market with Elvis, some of the others. I'm trying to remember how that went. Do you remember?
I'm not right offhand. You mean some of the other artists?
Yeah.
Like Elvis?
Yeah.
Richie and
Richie Valens.
Richie Valens and who's the brother that was on television show, and he just got started and he was in a plane crash. Ozzie and Harriet's son. Wasn't that it?
Who, Ricky?
Yeah, Ricky. He had a couple of hits, but he crashed in the airplane.
Buddy Holly.
Yeah, Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly was a big name. And he died in a plane crash with Richie Valens. And
He was freebasing with drugs. Blew up.
that
Blew
was
up on the plane.
Ozzie and Harriet, boy.
My mom saw them.
Yeah.
Saw him sing.
The young one.
Or see the list I could get going. Tell you what, why don't you just pull up 10 most popular songs. 19.
You have to go back and type this up.
I think it's still recording. 10 most popular songs.
1960.
1960. You've got Theme from a Summer Place by Percy Faith. He'll Have to Go, Jim Reeves. Kathy's Clown, the Everly Brothers. Running Bear, Johnny Preston, Teen Angel. Hold on. This is of the year 1960. Let me find of the 60s. 60s.
You have some nuts there on your leg.
It's starting me off with Hey Jude from the Beatles.
Hey Jude, don't let me down.
Don't let this ass. The Twist by Chubby Checker.
Oh, come on, baby, let's do the twist.
Light My Fire
Come on, baby, light my fire.
by The Doors. Like a Rolling Stone.
What did the Rolling Stones do?
Like a Rolling Stone, that's
Like
that song. Keeps on rolling.
El Paso by Marty Robbins.
That was country.
Georgia on My Mind.
Ray Charles.
Georgia. My Generation by Roger Daltrey.
I don't know what that is.
My Girl by The Temptations.
Yeah.
My girl.
Talking about my girl.
Respect by Aretha. Aretha Franklin. Running Bear by Johnny Preston. The Sound of Silence.
Ooh.
I didn't know that song was that old. That's the one that's like all around me, or that one. A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
I know Sam
He's
Cooke.
so good. Sam Cooke.
California Dreamin' by Johnny Burnett. Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. God Only Knows by the Beach Boys.
God only knows.
I Want to Hold Your Hand,
I want to hold
your hand, Beatles.
I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your
hand. Fingertips by Little Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
A Day in the Life, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, so I guess the Beatles. Were the Beatles broken up by the end of the 60s? Maybe?
Not sure.
Yeah, those are... Oh, wait, one more. Crying by Roy Orbison.
Oh, yes.
I recognize. Seems like it was a lot of love songs that were popular back then.
Those
Nice.
are always hits.
That's what gave birth to what was known as the one-hit wonder.
The one-hit wonder.
Wonder. Yeah.
Love songs.
Yeah. Check us out.
But look how much money they made off that one song.
But then they never came back.
Yeah, but they don't come back yet. At least they said they had one hit.
Yeah. Cool.
And you get a lot of money off of one hit.
Yeah.
I think that probably wraps up any questions I had.
Okay.
Sweet. Thank you.
You can always come back for more.